My name is Daniel Kawesi. I'm the Program Officer in charge of culture. At the same time, I'm the National ASP.NET Coordinator. You're welcome.
Yes, my name is Dennis Mayambala, Assistant Accountant. You all very much welcome.
Thank you very much. And to conclude, I would like to thank you all for honoring our invitation. Thank you for being here. Making 60 is a big milestone, and you can see we are all in a jovial, good mood. Thank you very much. I say this for God and my country.
Another round of applause for the Secretary General. That one was anemic. I want a higher power one. Another round. Thank you, Secretary General, for those opening remarks. Before we have a musical interlude by Makerere College students, I take this opportunity to welcome Ms. Fedal Shirazad, the education specialist from the Nairobi Regional UNESCO Office, to come and make a few remarks. Welcome. We have her.
Good afternoon. Right Honorable Third Deputy Prime Minister, Ministers of Education, Minister of Education and Sports, Ministers from line ministries present, Ministers of State for Education, former Ministers of Education present, Honorable Members of Parliament present, Directors present, the Program Coordinator of UNESCO Kampala Office, Madame the Secretary General of UNATCOM, and members that we just have been introduced. Commissioners present, head of departments present, representatives from overlying ministries, representatives of the private sector, civil society, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. All protocol observed, allow me to thank you for inviting UNESCO Regional Office for Eastern Africa, based in Nairobi, and for the opportunity to be with you today on this special day. My name is Sherazad Fedal, and I'm here to represent my director. First, let me convey to you the sincere greetings from the office. And today, indeed, is a celebration, and I wish to congratulate the Uganda National Commission for UNESCO and its Secretary General and staff upon its 16th anniversary. A long way has been covered since 60 years, and the SG has really highlighted not everything because it's impossible, but some to give you an idea of the amazing work and the importance to have a national commission. Like it was mentioned in the introduction, UNESCO commends the government of Uganda for signing as a member of UNESCO in November 1962, in accordance with the article from the Constitution. And then, in September 1963, the Uganda National Commission for UNESCO was established. Over the last 60 years, UNESCO has noticed the steady growth of the National Commission and the fulfillment of its obligation and aspirations. This has not only positioned the UNATCOM to undertake its mandate, but also to ensure effective representation and implementation of UNESCO's activities and programs in Uganda. Guests of honor and distinguished guests, as you are aware, UNESCO fosters international peace and development by encouraging intercultural dialogue in education, sciences, culture, communication, and information. In order to fulfill our mandate, we have a large number of components, including learning institutions, non-governmental organization partners, sponsored prizes, and funding for professionals in many fields. And the uniqueness is that UNESCO is the only UN agency to have a global network of national cooperating bodies known as National Commission. Indeed, national commissions make part of the overall constitutional architecture of organization. Uganda National Commission for UNESCO is one of the 199 national commissions across the world. And this really constitutes a truly global family with an authoritative network of stakeholders, partners, and experts, and offer a unique comparative advantage to the organization within the UN system. The network plays a significant role in the liaison with partners, government, coordination of activities, as it was explained, and the promotion of UNESCO's at the country level. UNESCO is very happy to note that the Uganda National Commission for UNESCO has ably performed his leadership role of consultation, liaison and information, and mobilizing and coordinating partnerships with national partners, and including the civil society. That has substantially contributed in the advancement of UNESCO's objectives and the implementation of our program. As a concrete example, this has resulted into Uganda government signing and fulfilling several international and regional conventions and instruments, and thus putting Uganda into a global picture, including tracking and reporting on the SDGs. Guests of honor, ladies and gentlemen, it serves well to note that Uganda National Commission for UNESCO has been formed and continues to play a key role in coordinating with also other national commissions. You had just the example with ISESCO, is one among others. And Uganda National Commission is serving as the secretariat and also hosting of the other meetings. Also, I would like to share with you that upon his request, UNESCO set up a project office in Uganda and has received a request for establishing an antenna in Uganda for further enhancement of our work. We do hope that the government of Uganda will pursue this request further during the 2023 UNESCO General Conference for its approval. Finally, we would like to stress that the UNESCO Regional Office for Eastern Africa, based in Kenya in Nairobi, remains committed to fulfill its obligation of ensuring that the Uganda National Commission and the Uganda Project Office receive all the necessary support to advance, first and foremost, our funding philosophy. As you know, we said that it's in our chart that since wars begin in the minds of men and women, it is in the minds of men and women that the defenses of peace must be constructed. And when we talk about peace, it doesn't mean absence of conflict. It means social justice, it means human rights, access to education. And this goes without saying that it's towards achievement of the SDGs. Once again, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Let's give her a round of applause. Yeah. Thank you. As Makerere students, Makerere College students come to give us a musical interlude, please do come in. As they come, I would like to recognize the presence in our midst, Mrs. Joyce Nima, the former headmistress of Toro Girls. She's here with us. I would also like to recognize Mrs. Elizabeth Gabona, having served as Assistant Secretary General at one time and various capacities in the Education Service Commission. Yeah. With us as well is Ms. Frances Atima, the Director, Education Standards. Please wave to the people. She's representing the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education and Sports. So before us is Makerere College students who are with us to give us a musical interlude. Some of you can come at the back here. Yeah. Good. Come on the stage, at the back line. A step back, the rest of you. A step back. Thank you, Makerere College School. They deserve another hand clap. Very smart. Yes. Yes. Thank you indeed for gracing the occasion. Thank you, DJ. Distinguished guests, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, and other VIPs, we've come to a very important moment when we are about to receive a keynote address for this occasion. And this will be by none other than Professor Eliab Lugujo. Professor Eliab Lugujo is a very distinguished son of Africa. And if you do a DNA test, in the blood you'll find 4 pluses of UNESCO. No less than 4. He's a man I've known of very distinguished and exemplary service, an electrical engineer by training, and he did his master's and PhD in the US. And he will tell you that when he reached there for PhD in electrical engineering, the whole first year, he had to do social sciences and humanities. And he said, what is all this? And they told him, look, you are going to serve human beings, not robots. And thereafter, first year, he went mainstream in engineering. He's a former head of electrical engineering in the former Faculty of Technology, Makerere University. Thereafter, he became a dean in the 70s and rose to the rank of the Vice Chancellor of recent. And he is the chairperson of the board of UNATCOM. So he has a lot of wisdom. In fact, as he arrives, please, let's, up the podium here, let's give him a round of applause. And he's a man of humorous jokes. One time I asked him, Professor, how have you made 40 years plus in marriage. He said, you know, my son, UNESCO principles and values. Welcome, Professor Eliab Lugujo. DJ, give him a small treat as he arrives. Listen carefully to Professor.
Thank you very much for those kind words about me. A person born in a banana plantation. I have no birth certificate, but here I am. The Right Honorable Rukia Nakadama, Third Deputy Prime Minister. This is my first time to meet you physically, but I've seen you in motion. You are welcome. The Minister of State of Education and Sports, thank you for coming. You've been very supportive of my struggle in other areas. Thank you very much. The former Minister of Education present, members of Parliament. I've heard that we have a minister from Mengo. You are welcome. I studied under federal, you remember, and I got a boom in the 60s. The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education and Sports. But when I say that, I want to recognize Mr. Xavier Solubanga, who did so much for us during the crisis, very difficult times, and he supported UNESCO. And then the representative of officials from the various line ministries, because as you know, UNESCO is multi-sectoral. The chairman and members of UNATCOM board have interacted with some, and I'm one of them. The directors and commissioners, the Minister of Education and Sports, the vice chancellors, I've seen two already. You are welcome. The program coordinator of UNESCO Kampala office, the Secretary General and staff of UNATCOM, you've seen them. The retired Secretaries General of UNATCOM, Mr. Okurut is around here. Commissioners present in the ministry, members of Specialized Program Committee of UNATCOM, dear participants in your various committee, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before I read my speech, I have to tell you that I went to Makerere College School in Senior 1 in 1960. And when I saw these young men, they reminded me I was that small also in 1960. And then in 1964, the first UNESCO consignment of equipment arrived. Makerere College School was the first school in Uganda to get UNESCO equipment in 1964. And I'll tell you, when I went to University of East Africa as a first year in 1966, we were 11 doing physics. We found UNESCO equipment. Actually, equipment was tagged UNESCO stroke UNDP. And the laboratories were excellent, the best in the world. And remember, professors teaching 11 students from East Africa. This was the University of East Africa. So what does it mean, Honorable Minister, Prime Minister? It means actually UNESCO is my hemoglobin, to say the least. It's not a matter. And whatever the Secretary General has said here, I witnessed it. For her, she hadn't been born. She read some in the literature, but for me, whatever was said of UNESCO, I witnessed it with my eyes. I'm a living individual. I can be a witness to each and every event of UNESCO in the country. So that is how far I have come. Salutation, I greet you in the name of our Lord. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to give this keynote address on a topic that is very dear to me. I joined UNATCOM exactly 40 years ago, in 1983, when I was a Dean of Engineering. I joined it as a member of the Specialized Committee in Natural Sciences. They were looking for people who were competent, but the mere fact that I had done my first degree in mathematics and physics, and then PhD in engineering, I fitted the multidisciplinary nature of UNESCO. And even when I went to UNESCO, I was chosen on the executive board twice, which is a rare event to be chosen there. But because I was articulate in understanding philosophy, I had done a lot of philosophy, and then in mathematics, I could translate models. Then they thought I was clever, which I wasn't. So this is the situation. And for any member state to be recognized in Paris, it must have a strong national commission. Honorable Prime Minister, I want you to take this message, that if you don't have a strong national commission, you will not be heard. Even you cannot campaign, because they will say, who are you? Do you speak in the commissions? Do you know what is going on? Are you broad in UNESCO areas of competence? This is the idea. But now this time when I enter into some of these big offices, they ask, what is UNESCO? And I almost faint, you know. So we need to have a crusade of UNESCO among policymakers so that they can understand what UNESCO is all about. Now, as the Secretary General has pointed out, UNESCO by constitution is set up in the UNESCO constitution. If you become a member state of UNESCO, then you are allowed to form a national commission. And it is through the commission that UNESCO takes its root in the country. Therefore, the commission is the interface between a member state and UNESCO. That national commission is the interface between a member state and UNESCO. But now, philosophically, what is UNESCO? Is it an entity we touch? Is it an organization? Yes, it is a UN organization. But when you do the feedback loop, you find UNESCO is our service. All of you are UNESCO. Because it is from you where we mobilize ideas to put them through national commission, to be convoluted into projects, which we send to the Secretariat in Paris for them to be supported. And then the member country receives the support. If the National Commission is not strong enough or up to it to mobilize the people, they cannot get anything from UNESCO headquarters. And I have to say, you've seen these people working here, program officers, but they have to deal with the professors and specialists within Uganda through needs assessment in ministries to identify the needed projects, which projects they send to UNESCO office. Therefore, National Commission, if at all is watered down, we will go into a receding series, backwards, in a reverse gear. And that's the unfortunate part of it. I went to cabinet in Entebbe to lobby for the National Commission. He knows me. You ask the president, you know this man who was in India as a vice chancellor? He knows me. And we've interacted with him on this issue of UNESCO. And he seemed to understand. And then you hammer, why don't you this evening even ratify it that UNESCO can remain, cannot be a desk? Because now you are the president, you know. You can do it tonight, isn't it? Yes. Okay. You have heard that the functions is ensuring the promotion and implementation of UNESCO's mandate in Uganda, which we have done very well. Involve partners in a local and international level. This secretariat, you see in Paris and field offices, has also been very supportive. We work with a wide network of national commissions. You heard the representative from UNESCO office in the regional office in Nairobi. They have set up this umbrella, isn't it? But already we have talked about UNESCO. They have talked how it was formed through the ravages of Second World War. Everything was put, like you see in Ukraine. That's what happened. Everybody was hopeless. But on 16th November 1945, this organization was set up in London by 37 delegates. The science had been left in UNESCO. Then they said that if you leave out the scientists, they will do the same thing they have done, you know, destroy. You better include also the scientists. We were not meant to be there in UNESCO, but it was an American delegation that said that it should be UNESCO, where S represents UNESCO, and it has worked very well. You've talked about the functions of UNESCO, and I'm not going to repeat this. A laboratory of ideas. But UNESCO and UNATCOM are the two organizations that are not much known by the policymakers in this country. Because we are not a funding agency. We are not IMF. We are not UNICEF. We are not ILO. But having said that, we are an organization that covers more disciplines, from education to natural science, to social science, to culture, to information and communication, multi-sectoral. But they don't know we are a capacity builder. Okay, you may love IMF, but money will not solve it unless you build the capacity. That is the real difference why we are not known very well. We are standard setter. You've heard that the royal tombs had been struck off the list, isn't it? Because it hadn't met the standards. When you want to do a policy, Kajubi Report 1980, we had to get experts from UNESCO to come here on the Education Policy Review Commission to guide us into the, let me take some water. To guide us. And then it is a catalyst of international collaboration. Catalyst is what accelerates a system. That means when you are sleeping, UNESCO comes to wake you up. It is a conscience of the nation. there is fear of moral decadence now. There is corruption. But when we ask very intelligent people, PhD, they said, we don't know, maybe God will help. Hey, how can God help when there is corruption? Because these are physical laws. Physics, you need the physical laws to defeat, you see. You need the education to defeat corruption. So you realize that it is a conscience of a nation. In UNESCO, there is an equation. When you take a human being minus embarrassment equals what? An animal, isn't it? Exactly, that is what we are now. The moment you don't get embarrassed, you are finished. This is what UNESCO is saying. That the morals, you see, are very important. You'll hear when I talk about here. And it is a reliable repository. Whenever we need information, when you go to Paris, there is a huge building with the 7 floors down. That is the archive, isn't it? Because they know there will be a third world war. You can talk anything, but there will be a third world war. But we are already strategically situated for it in UNESCO. It will not, if you have a will, take it to UNESCO. They will hide it 7 floors down. So it is a reliable archive. This is UNESCO. Now, the UNESCO trajectory, UNATCOM, because I came here for UNATCOM trajectory, as you know, started in '63. That is why we are here. And it had a one man, the late Joseph Magoba. He had been an advisor in USA, student advisor. So when he came in, they said, you have a desk here and deal with UNESCO issues. But the way UNESCO works, you have to deal with competent people within Uganda. And he was a very nice man, very cordial, okay? In fact, he's the one who was the secretary to Education Policy Kajubi Report. He mobilized the people. And although he was a one person national commission, he managed to really work very hard to get the required projects. And from 1963 to 1970, things worked. And that is why we had the Namutamba integrated, rural project, BEAD. That one which was international, okay? It was done by that one man, but he banked on so many people. So in that decade, that Namutamba project was a real key thing. And whoever you met, even in the SADC region, the Namutamba model, introducing technology into agriculture for the first time, okay? That one worked, okay? Now, IIEP, International Institute for Education Planning, was set up, and Uganda benefited immensely. All of the educational planners in this country didn't go to London. They ended up in Paris, okay? And Mr. Rubanga can testify to that. You see, this was very important. Now, 1966, as I have told you, it was a period of, after independence, you can imagine, it was a period of energy. We wanted to equip ourselves, both technologically and scientifically. The British were they were not releasing equipment. But through UNESCO, UNESCO managed to equip most of the laboratories in agriculture and in physics at that time, and chemistry, if I may say so. Now, the second decade, 1971 or 79, witnessed the basic education which introduced, Skilling Uganda. Skilling Uganda. Incidentally, those of you who know that strategic project, the madam there knows, it was inaugurated on the 2nd October 2012, Skilling Uganda. It came out of this integrated education where you had to introduce theory and practice. And that 2012 is a genesis for UNESCO. Now, 1970 to 80, it was a period when Asians had been sent away. You know very well, isn't it? What happened? Most organizations left. UNESCO and Japan did not leave. Those were the two organizations that did not leave us, okay? And at that time, I came back from America in 1975. I found UNESCO experts in Makerere all over the place, and they helped us up to 85. Remember those 10 years, 10 dark years, 1977, after the killing of the bishop, to 1987. That was a decade which I think Professor Uoga can know. He was there. Now, it is very difficult to enumerate what UNATCOM has done in 60 years. But UNATCOM has been a facilitator of intellectual aspect where it has captured needs assessment in Uganda. It has brought people together, catalyzed them to be confident they can face international world with zeal and enthusiasm. So when you look at whatever has been done in the UNATCOM, it is because the Secretary Generals of that time, that period, were able to capture what UNESCO headquarters wanted and also what Uganda needed. I can single out two things. The UN retraced decade, 2003-2012, very, very important. And also there was a program of teacher education at all levels. TISA, they have been talked about, early childhood, and then promotion of ICT education, integrating ICT in education. And those were very important. Policy-wise, you remember the white paper. They have talked about it in education. It is very difficult to elaborate all of them, but those who have my paper, I can say that UNESCO has got institutes like the one in Addis Ababa, which is also used. Let me read these for you. The International Institute for Capacity Building in Africa, in Addis Ababa, International Institute of Education Planning in Paris, and also the UNESCO Institute of Education in Hamburg, Germany. Those we have used because we have got scholarship, or it has helped us also. You can't plan without data. And whenever we have national planning here, we have to refer to Addis Ababa to provide that. UNESCO chairs, you've heard that what was a participation program ended up in a faculty of food science and technology at Makerere. You have had eradication of extreme poverty. Incidentally, it is UNESCO that brought out the concept of poverty. Most people in Uganda don't understand poverty. When they don't have money, they say they are poor. Even if when they have abundant land to harness. But there are people who are absolutely poor. Those are there. So the grading of poverty was first introduced by UNESCO. And for me, when I look in Uganda, we don't have poor people, apart from refugees, isn't it? So that is the situation of UNESCO, okay? And also, the HIV, you've noted, UNESCO had a cross-cutting program across all the major programs of UNESCO of HIV/AIDS prevention. okay? And also, currently, we are having the global citizenship education because we are living in a global village. In fact, it was 2 weeks ago that we are training secondary school teachers in global education. When I talk about natural science, this is my area, I will be extremely brief. But what is important here, there are two issues. The first one is marginalization of science among women. Okay? When I went to the States in 1969, and then I went to engineering and mathematics, one of the teachers was a woman. I'd never seen anything like that, isn't it? So when I came back, I started coaching women in mathematics. Those of you who know me, they know me as a math teacher and a physics teacher. But even up to now, there is a problem of STEM where women are not allowed. In fact, a teacher comes and says physics is hard, math is hard. So UNESCO and UNATCOM are trying to promote, you see, to exercise fear of STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, from women, isn't it? That is, okay, what we want. And secondly, we want to look at capacity building, especially at PhD level. Uganda has come up with so many universities. You find one professor running from Makerere to Busitema to Ndeje to Nkozi to what? So we need to really bring an intellectual aspect, create more doctorates. Already you've heard that our Secretary General got her PhD. Why should a lady of that nature get a PhD? Because she's UNESCO. She's in the temple of intellectual. She needs to work with her head high. That is the issue. She's in a very intellectual aspect, you know, yes. And so we promote these people, capacity building in land use interaction, biosphere reserve, climate, you know, and in science policy for sustainable development. And social science, they have already talked about, but in social science and human science, the issue of ethics is important now. More so if we have the social media. The issue of ethics is coming up, and it is now, social media is becoming an enemy of ethics, and we have to fight hard, and we need to do that. Now, let me talk about culture, okay? When you talk about culture, you think it is only character, it is only sitting down and music and what? But the way UNESCO discusses culture and politics. At independence, culture was a market of identity, okay? Thereby making it a critical identity of freedom and pride. Culture assured Uganda of an undeniable existence on the international political map. You've heard of the Baka cloth, you've heard of the Kasubi royal tombs, isn't it? Therefore, in 1998, there was a philosopher from Athens who talked to the plenary in UNESCO. He said, globalization. In the 21st century, you have to anchor yourself deep, like a tree. If you don't anchor yourself deep, globalization will sweep you. It's like a hurricane. So he said that if you are cultureless, you are like a paper in the wind. This is what we are. This was a philosopher, I remember him very well. It was in the afternoon. He said, especially you African countries, you copy too much. You need your culture, anchor it. And then UNESCO produced a book, Mother Tongue is the Key. Google it. Mother tongue is the key. That was the title of the book. So this is the issue we are talking about. Then the second aspect, culture and development. When we came to study here, the whites said that they called our parents peasants, meaning that we shouldn't go back to the village. There is nothing to offer in the village. So UNESCO says, culture and development, you must know that your indigenous culture, if not preserved, you'll be again swept away. Okay? This is the idea of culture and development. Indigenous knowledge should be the basis upon which all other, I know it is dynamic. I have no question about that. But we must really anchor ourselves. Okay? From Nimule to the northern hemisphere, all of those countries use their mother tongue, even at university level. You know Nimule? You go to the map of the world. Look at a town called Nimule, draw a line to the North Pole. All of them use their mother tongue. English is the second language. Okay? So this is something. Culture and demography. This link started in the early 1980s. It emphasized tolerance and urged UNATCOM only among social, to really ensure that there is tolerance. When you talk of democracy, you should listen. The art of listening, okay, the tolerance part of it is very, very important. And also, harmony within diversity is very, very important. As the speaker from Nairobi pointed out, peace is not absence of war. Okay? So you can, you can really create enmity even when there is no way. Exclusion, for that matter, is very important. But in Uganda, we need to tolerate others, isn't it? Yeah. Honorable Chief of Guest, I've been married for 48 years now. When I came from America, the people I were with in Livingstone, they said, but for you, you didn't even know how to dance, you were scientists, mathematicians, how will you manage? This was in 1975, during a mini time. I had a new car, they said they're going to kill you immediately. You can take even the car. They said, do you want to get married? I said, no, I don't want, but the people at home, okay, are pressurizing me, isn't it? I was 29 years when I came back. They said, no, okay, we'll find your wife. List down what you want. That was strange, isn't it? I listed, first of all, I put up Gayaza. I need a girl from Gayaza. Why Gayaza? Because Mrs. Impanga had taught me in senior one, and I loved her, isn't it? Yes. I said Gayaza, and Madam Shunubi, Gayaza, the mother of this lawyer. She was there in geography. Okay? So I listed. Then they brought a girl whom I married for 47 years now. Isn't it? Yeah. But can you imagine staying with the person whom you never dated for 47 years? And those who dated, the marriages broke down, isn't it? You see that? Reason is UNESCO. UNESCO. Because there is no way a person I met at 30 would be similar to me. It is impossible. We need to live in that diversity with those differences, but we tolerate each other, isn't it? That's it, UNESCO. That's the culture we want to deal with. This paper is long, but I will have to cut it short. The convention, they haven't talked about convention. Uganda has ratified. UNESCO Convention on Natural and Cultural Heritage. It was put up in 1972, but we ratified it in 1987. That's why these people even came to Kasubi, because we ratified the convention. We are serious. UNESCO Convention on Safeguarding Intangible Heritage, 2003. We ratified it in 2009. Okay? So they expect us to teach our languages in the lower primary, something we have refused to do. Okay? We are indisciplined. Okay? Isn't it? Then the UNESCO Convention in the protection and promotion of diversity of culture expression, we ratified it in 2015. Yes, we have managed at least, because we have got so many ethnic groups, but at least they have. Now the last one is communication and information. They have told you how we set up the multi-center, community centers. I remember going to Nakaseke, and people were excited. They came together to listen to that development. And I agree that the Ministry of ICT is doing much, but of course there is exclusion. The internet, the cost, the accessibility, and all that. But UNESCO says you have to democratize that. And I have to talk about peace. Whatever we do in UNESCO leads to peace, because that is the confluence of all our activities. Whether you are teaching, whether you are doing something, the end result must be peace, because that is why the organization was set up. Now, for me, who was on executive board, Uganda will be accused of violating the freedom of journalists. And then I would ring Kampala. All these people accusing us, they have told me to report. Of course, they don't reply from Kampala. But whatever we do here, daily, UNESCO records what goes on. Even if photograph, UNESCO records, especially with the journalists now. Okay? So that one is the bitter truth. Now, peace is reverence to life. Peace is the most precious possession of humanity. Peace is more than the end of armed conflict. Peace is a mode of behavior. In 3 weeks, young men have cut off heads of their girlfriends. Have you read this? And they take themselves to police. The other one in Akurabi cut her to pieces, put her in a sack, called the border, and they took him to Natet and he burnt her. And yet, these are educated. So we have to be very careful when we talk of peace. It is within the minds of peace, okay? And the peace is also a harmonious partnership of humankind and environment. If we don't have peace, there is no environment. There is no wealth, okay? I know some of us live in perimeter walls, but they will wait for us at the gate, okay? The perimeter walls won't save us, yes. I want to end with the in 1993, an international convention was set up by UNESCO to imagine the future of education in the new century, namely the 21st century, a century in which we are. And this convention, this commission, was chaired by Jacques Delors, a very eminent academician. And they discovered that there could be 5 pillars of education in this new century. And the first pillar is learning to be. Learning to be, what does it mean? You must really emphasize self-confidence, who you are. Culture is the most important. Learning to be, who are you? We may be different cultures, but we need to have harmony within diversity. And that is the first pillar. That whoever is educated in this century must honor that. The second pillar is learning to know. They knew that because of ICT, there will be so much information. Now they talk of clouds, isn't it? So they say, if you don't receive knowledge out of information, you are finished. Even now, you see people who fail to plan because they have too much knowledge, but they don't know the linearity. Therefore, learning to know is the second pillar, because there is so much, okay? And you cannot know all that. Therefore, you have to situate yourself. And the third pillar after knowing is learning to do. This is the complaint. Graduates are not doing anything. Do they have the pillar? Have we trained them in learning to do? Do they have the work ethic aspect? This skill in Uganda is part of learning to do. When you are knowledgeable, can you really go hungry in Uganda? Yes, you can, because you are not doing anything. You are very knowledgeable, you passed exams in CGPA 4.2, but you can't. In which case, you are not proactive, isn't it? You trained in physics, but unless there is a physics job, you can't do anything else. Finished, okay? And then the fourth pillar was learning to learn. Learning to learn. These days, my students, my people I interact with, don't read the papers. When you ask them, they say, we read on the net. Kumbe, they are cheating. You ask them one, they don't know. So learning to learn is also elusive now, but it was predicted. And the last one is learning to live together. They are in a book, The Treasure from Within, published by UNESCO. You can Google that. And those are the pillars that will carry us for the next 100 years. We are remaining with the 77, isn't it? 77 years. We won't be there, but those are the pillars for this century. UNATCOM ahead, isn't it? UNATCOM ahead, okay? What I wanted to say, the Secretary General has said it all. There is a merger, and we are all scared. The merger was supposed to take place on 1st July. Fortunately, there was no money. Then we survived, isn't it? But then they said, come 2024, they will not fail to merge. I'm saying, yes, they can merge, but there are certain organizations of international merit. This is an international, Honorable Wang. This is an international organization. Even in statistics, there is always a spike in the distribution. Why can't UNATCOM become a spike in the distribution? It cannot be taken as an ensemble in a group. We can be singled out. Let us at least have a study and be listened to, isn't it? Yeah, with Honorable Kadama there. Let us a study and you listen to us. We will provide the tea and all of that. Yes, exactly. Thank you very much for listening to me.
I promised you to hear the great humor in Professor Lugojo. And indeed, I think I was not a prophet of doom. A round of applause for Professor. Professor, as you walk down, we also celebrate you as having been the first ever professor in Ichagwe. Thank you for that keynote address. I trust that we've all been enriched, and the message is very loud and clear, Honorable Prime Minister. Just a small leaf from our neighbors, the Republic of Kenya. In Kenya, their UNATCOM and UNESCO, they have a whole ambassador in Paris. There's the political ambassador, okay, but there is an ambassador for UNESCO UNATCOM, Kenya. So some years back, there was the spelling of UNATCOM in Uganda becoming an agency. But if we lose it, I cannot reverberate anymore the words of Professor and the SGA. We trust that you'll take the fight for us in State House, because there's a lot to lose and there's a lot to benefit to keep it. I submit. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, we are moving into another item of our program, and I would like to request my co-MC, Ms. Achola Pauline, to come and take center stage here to take us through that item when some individuals are recognized for their performance. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Alan, my co-MC. Good afternoon, everybody. You're most welcome. This is a very momentous occasion. We are celebrating UNATCOM at 60. And one of the things, as I introduced myself earlier, to take you back, I'm Pauline Nachola. I work with the National Commission for UNESCO. I head Communication and Information Program. Now, one key thing which is part of the Communication and Information Program with UNESCO is the National Memory of the World Program. And for your information, we are making this documentation. You are seeing several activities happening. The cameras are all over. There is videography taking place. We want to document this occasion, and we keep it for memory of those who will come after us. And on your tables, we have attendance list as a reminder. It is part of the documentation that we are handling. So I would request, if you have not yet registered on our attendance list, to kindly do so. This will be part of our memory, which we are going to treasure, knowing that you were part of the celebration of UNATCOM at 60. And without wasting any more time, let me ask the SG, Madame Rosie Agoy, to come and usher in the guests who will be part of handing over these awards. We are going to begin with the handing over of certificates to individuals, institutions, and part of the academia who have been part of the activities of the National Commission for UNESCO, the different projects implemented. As mentioned earlier by the SGC, said we work with 9 ministries. So we are not recognizing all. So when you're not called, don't feel bad. We are still here. We are only 60 years young. We are still growing. And next time you may be part of this. So let me invite SG to guide us on how we are going to hand over this certificate. My ladies, let me also request you to come near here with the certificates as I hand over to SG for guidance. SG, over to you.
Thank you very much, Pauline. I now have the singular honor and pleasure to invite our dear chief guest, the Right Honorable Rukia Nakadama, Third Deputy Prime Minister, and our dear Minister of Education and Sports, Honorable Peter Ogwang, to come up here to give the awards to the various categories as will be read by Pauline. Okay. Please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We already have our team here. The first award is going to UNESCO, Kampala Project Office. So I kindly request, I'm requesting Mr. Charles Dwachebo to come in front and receive the award. The next one, as Charles come in front, I'm going to request Ms. Irene Kauma, who is the Principal Private Secretary to Mama, the First Lady. I'm not sure she's here. Maybe a representative from the Ministry of Education can come in and receive on our behalf. Is there anybody who will receive on our behalf? Yes, I'm seeing, yes. Mr. Patrick is coming to receive. Thank you so much, Patrick. The next award is going to Ms. Sophie Kange. Sophie Kange has been a board member at Uganda National Commission for UNESCO. Let us clap for Sophie. She is still very energetic and we are recommending for a second term for her. So, Madam Sophie, you're welcome. The next one is going to Mr. Abdallah Mutazindwa. Somebody from this to represent. This is Ms. Sophie Kange. Somebody representing Mr. Abdallah Mutazindwa. Yes, thank you so much for coming. Yes, the next one is going to Honorable Mayende. Honorable Mayende Simon. He has also been a board member. He is currently director with the Ministry of ICT. A representative, Mr. Nyanzi. Yes, thank you for coming to pick this award on behalf of Mr. Honorable Simon Mayende. The next one goes to Mr. Apollo Mukasa, also a board member with the National Commission for UNESCO. Mr. Apollo Mukasa, are you there? Okay, that one the Secretariat will keep it. Okay, I think we can now go to representation of personalities who have worked with the National Commission for UNESCO. Let me ask Mr. John Makombo, Director with Uganda Wildlife Authority, to come and get his award to represent the different individuals who have worked with the National Commission for UNESCO. Let us speak in a symbolic. Okay, I'll read the rest of the names of those who are supposed to get the award. Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Makombo, for representing the individuals we have been able to work with. Now the ministries, let me ask representation for Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development to come and get an award representing the rest of the ministries. Let us clap for Ministry of Gender. This is a cross-cutting ministry that deals in several social issues in our society. Thank you so much. For the institutes that we have worked with, I'm inviting representation from Uganda Institute of Professional Engineers to come and receive an award for this. Anybody representing? Okay. If there is none, let me invite Madame Jacqueline Kia from Engineers Registration Board to receive this award on behalf of UIPE. Madam Jacqueline, you're most welcome. National Council for Higher Education, are you there? Let us clap for National Council for Higher Education. Yes. You're most welcome, Director. Thank you so much for being part of this celebration. Yeah, Executive Secretary for... Yeah. Okay, the last one to the institutions we have worked with, we are giving to Uganda National Examinations Board. Representative from Uganda National Examination Board, are you there? Let us clap for them. All of us have passed through the hands of UNEP. We would always get those exam fevers when UNEP would be around the corner. So, anybody representing UNEP? UNEP is not yet in the house, but Hajat Safina is coming to represent the director. Now, we had on our list staff from Uganda National Commission for UNESCO. Let me ask Dr. Dominic Mundrugo Ogolali, the Assistant Secretary General of the National Commission for UNESCO, to receive this award on behalf of all the staff. Some music, DJ, for our Deputy Secretary General. Yes, Doctor, some strokes. Let's clap for Doctor. Yes. Thank you so much, Doctor, for being part of this. And last but not least, we are giving an award to Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. Any representations in the house? Who are Mr. Makombo? We have given you a second award going to your institution. Thank you so much for the work you always do and you continue to be doing for us. Thank you. Let us give a round of applause for this team. Thank you so much. Yes, let me ask now SG to take back the chief guest to resume their seat. Now on my list, the other people who are supposed to receive the award, we have the award here. We'll just give them over to you later. We have Mr. Apollo Mukasa. We have Miss Rose Mwanja Kale. We have Miss Judy Kikonyogo. We have Mr. Simon Odong. We have Mr. Innocent Biarohanga. We have Dr. Jones Chaze. We have Mr. Feni Birunji. Some of these members are former governing council members. We are bringing, just hold on a bit. We'll bring the award. Then we have Mr. John Okedi. We have Ms. Susan Okot. We have Dr. Yusuf Msubuga. We have Ambassador David Mwaka. We have Mr. Francis Peter Ojede, Mr. Robert Msingoma, Professor Raj Meza, Mr. Hamos Tindiebwa, Dr. Veni Nakazibwe, Ms. Stella Tumwebaze. We have Ms. Irene Mutumba. We have Brother Lonsias Biarohanga. We have Professor Mohamed Mpezimigo. We have Ruth Kalema Matovu. We have Mr. David Kalanzi. Then on the part of the National Commission for UNESCO, the staff were already introduced here, and Dr. Dominic Mundrugo Golali got an award representing the rest of the staff. We have a second award coming towards the end of the program, so pay attention. You may be part of the next award. Thank you so much for listening to us and for appreciating those who have been able to receive the first phase of award. Let us give them a round of applause again. Yes, let me now take this opportunity to hand the microphone back to Dr. Hallan. Dr. Hallan?
Thank you, Pauline, for having guided us through that item. And DJ could just increase the tempo of that piece of music as we prepare to receive the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education and Sports, to come and address the people. Welcome, PS, is represented by the Director of Standards. Welcome to the podium to come and address the people.
The third Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, the Honorable Minister of Education and Sports, the Chairman and members of UNATCOM Board, the Directors and Commissioners, Minister of Education and Sports, Vice Chancellors of universities present here, Secretary General and staff of UNATCOM, retired Secretary General of UNATCOM, distinguished participants in your various capacities, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be among you this afternoon to mark the Uganda National Commission for UNESCO's 60th anniversary celebrations. This celebration provides us with an opportunity to look back and forward as we reflect on the impact of UNATCOM's contribution towards building a prosperous Uganda over a period of 60 years. We thank the Almighty God for enabling us to reach this far in our engagements with the National Commission for UNESCO and UNESCO. Since September 1963, when government then took a decision to have the National Commission for UNESCO housed in the Ministry of Education and Sports. We celebrate this unique partnership with UNESCO over the years, facilitated by the liaison role of our National Commission for UNESCO. Rosie, thank you so much. We register our appreciation to UNESCO that has provided technical assistance to our programs at the Ministry of Education and Sports in form of reliable data, statistics, and research in the different fields of education, with support in wider sector education planning, policy, reviews, and development. We are highly indebted to UNESCO for its contribution towards the development of the National Teachers Policy that has presented to us good direction to professionalize the teaching profession in Uganda. Thank you once again. The entire process for this achievement was spearheaded by Uganda National Commission for UNESCO. We thank the current Secretary General, who is here with us, for this remarkable attainment in the education sector. You've indeed left a legacy, or you leave a legacy. Ministry of Education and Sports will continue to provide policy guidance and coordination to deal with constant challenges and opportunities that may confront UNATCOM in the process of delivering on its mandate. I would like to thank sincerely the Secretariat led by the Secretary Generals, their deputies, and members of staff at UNATCOM at the different times over the years for this extraordinary journey of 60 years of ensuring the permanent presence of UNESCO in Uganda. I've seen Mr. Mario Kurut, the emeritus. Mr. Kurut, you're welcome. You have mobilized our partners at different levels over the years to participate in UNESCO's General Conference and different platforms for practitioners, experts, researchers, and the academia to share experiences and build the capacity of professionals to strengthen their expertise in the field of education, science, culture, information and communication, and enhanced institutional capacity to deliver on the global agenda of improving lives and livelihoods of our citizenry. I would like to recognize and appreciate your efforts for providing additional publications and resource materials that you have produced in the past years to support our work in the Ministry of Education and Sports. I salute your commitment to the ESD, Education for Sustainable Development movement in Uganda, and more recently for mobilizing us at the Ministry of Education and Sports to participate in the Transformation of Education Summit that was held in New York in September 2022. The Ministry of Education and Sports values the partnership that has been established with various players at national and local levels to support the work of UNATCOM and UNESCO over the years. This kind of comprehensive strategic partnerships and remarkable leadership will improve the visibility of UNESCO in Uganda in the years to come. Finally, the celebration of UNATCOM's 60th anniversary will present an important and special place for the young people, especially the professionals. Let this celebration provide broader efforts to make UNESCO work in Uganda more inclusive with sustainable benefits for the young people as part of the youth heritage in Africa. The next 40 years leading to 100 years of UNATCOM will be celebrated with full view of the Africa we want. I wish all of us present a cheerful and lively celebration of UNATCOM at 60. Happy birthday, UNATCOM. Thank you for listening to me. I say all this for God and my country.
Thank you, PS, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education and Sports, for those words of wisdom. At this juncture, I'll ask the DJ to give us a welcome tune. Address the gathering. Honorable Minister,
Greetings from Mama, the First Lady, the Minister of Education and Sports. I want to thank God who has enabled us to congregate here together to mark 60 years of UNATCOM. This occasion will take stock and recognize the achievement and the impact of the work of Uganda National Commission for UNESCO in Uganda and the entire East African region in 60 years. Uganda became a member of UNESCO in November 1962 and established a National Commission for UNESCO in 1963. UNATCOM is established by an Act of Parliament as an institution of government under the Ministry of Education and Sports. The history of UNESCO's work in Uganda has been a journey into projects aimed at building a strong society that upholds sanctity of lifelong learning, building a culture of respect for human dignity,